Rob Newman here with my second ever video of using the 3018 CNC. Now what I'm trying to do is record absolutely everything I do with the 3018 CNC, whether it be a fail, whether it's my learning, whether it's things that have gone absolutely well. I'm trying to record them. So my first video was creating a Easter hunt sign for Easter Sunday, and then I followed it up with this one, which is creating a series of really tiny little Easter eggs cut out of wood that I had kicking around, using profile and area clearance in Carveco Maker, and then machining them. You're going to see in this video is actually my second video, and it's where it went wrong and where the bed actually slipped. So you can see the finished piece up here of exactly what it looks like. And you're going to see in the video, it's only a quick 5-minute one of where things went wrong, and I'm going to probably try and do a quick video of where things went right using the 3018, and exactly what I did and how it worked, as well as the finished pieces. So thank you for watching. Let's get over and watch, see what happens. In this model, we're going to cut a series of Easter eggs out of this 12mm plywood that we have. We're going to do a complete cut through, different to our previous model. So we're going to cut all the way through the 12mm bit of material. So first of all, we need a sacrificial bit of board so that we're going to place on the bottom of this. Now, it usually isn't as thick as the piece you've got, but I'm limited on materials at the moment. So my sacrificial board is going to be the same thickness or same as my cutting material. Now the problem with this is that my tool height is sitting a little bit too high, so I need to get the spanners out and I need to adjust the tool height up a little bit, reset my tool in, clamp the model down itself. So I'll just slide the tools up a little bit as well, and then retighten them. So if you haven't done this before, it's the two spanners going against each other, just hiring them up slightly, and then we're going to look at resetting the height of the tools. And what we want this tool to do is actually go through the first block and into the sacrificial block just below it slightly, so I know that I've cut all the way through my top sheet through to the base. Now you don't want to do this straight on the base without putting a sacrificial, because you can cut into your base with a machine like this. Actually could cause quite a bit of damage. I would recommend using a thinner piece of material if you can get your hands on one, but at the moment I can't, so we're just going to use this thicker piece, and I'm going to have to adjust my clamps because they're going to be set significantly higher than what they were within the last model. So just adding the clamps onto this model. So I'm speeding up through this process of attaching the clamps to my block to hold them down. You can see how to do this in my first video, and I might show this in a few of the other ones, but for this purpose, just speeding it up. Okay, so those clamps are now on. We're just getting the screwdriver in to just add some downwards force onto the block itself within there. And we're just going to start to now move that tool towards an X and Y and set a Z height. Still tend to go for the traditional using a piece of paper technique for setting my Z height. So if you haven't seen that before, I'm going to show you that now and how we actually do that. Okay, so I just find myself that piece of paper. Then what we're going to do is just move the Z down with a piece of paper under it. So I've set it to continuous to move it down so it's close to the bottom, and then I'll switch over to like 0.1 or 0.01 on the GRBL software, and then I'll put the piece of paper under it, and then I'll keep moving the paper backwards and forwards until it just grabs onto it quite nicely. So once I move it backwards and forwards, it will get a bit of a nice grab going on there, and then at that point I will set that value as my Z height. So that will now be top of the block. So we just move it, as you can see, it moves quite freely at the moment, but then it gets a little bit tighter towards the end. Okay, so that's our Z height set. Okay, so now we're going to look at setting our X and our Y origin. So like with the Z, we actually move our X and our Y over to where we want our 0 to be. So typically within the software, setting the X and Y, now you don't have to, but I am for most of the models I do, in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm actually setting it in the bottom left, but away from my clamps. So at no point will it go into my clamps itself. So I've set my X and my Y safely away, not going to cause any issues. And then in the GRBL software, I'm just going to hit the set X and set Y origin. So that way I'll have set my X, my Y, and my Z, and I can start and go ahead and machine. Okay, so we're going to speed through this section here, but you can see we're profiling out a rabbit, and it's going quite nicely at the start, but what happens is it actually slips. So when we get to the slow down section, you're going to see that the rabbit itself is actually lost where it's machining, and it starts to machine higher up on the block of material. Now, at first I put this down to me digging into the material too deep, but I was actually only cutting something like 0.25, and I've cut deeper than this with this machine at like 1 before. So I was a little bit concerned. I thought it could have been the tool. What it actually was that a lot of the bolts had come loose in the previous use on my first test of this machine. Maybe I didn't tighten them up quite correctly, but it's taught me the lesson that I need to tighten these bolts up or check them between use. And it actually lost my origin for me and started machining somewhere else, which started to cause a bit of issues for me on this. And there's a little bit of smoke coming out there as well. It's machining somewhere it didn't want to at quite a little bit of a depth. So I had to restart this model from scratch again. So I'm going to stop it about here, and then I'm going to restart it again.